for coming to the town board meeting of June 4th. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Paul?
John Baisley, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Michael Zafone, Fourth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Todd Tancredi, Supervisor.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
All right, we have a number of public hearings on the agenda tonight, so we'll get right into it. Public hearing number one, we are going to adjourn to the June 18th meeting, but since it is a public hearing, it's been advertised. If there's anybody here to speak to the public hearing, vehicle for hire, code amendment, joint town city, this is basically our taxi law. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules of public comment on public hearing number one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Okay, seeing no one, I make a motion to adjourn this public hearing to the June 18th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, public hearing number one will be adjourned to June 18th. There's still some work being done on that. Mr. Carlos and others are spearheading an effort to review that legislation, and it'll come back before us in a couple weeks. Next public hearing is to amend Chapter 154, basically our plumber's license. This is in relation to the library work, and basically, we had a long discussion a couple weeks ago, so make a motion to suspend the rules of public comment on public hearing number two.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Vic? Vic, you know what I'm amazed by?
What?
You're here at the beginning of the meeting tonight, and you're not running mad after watching us on TV. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. I didn't make it to the last meeting because I didn't realize it was that early. After the announcement about the plumbers thing here, I mentioned it the last time, and I believe I showed you all my driver's license, and I'm against this testing of a plumber that comes into the town that wants to do a job. We don't go to another town or another state and take a new driver's test when we want to go to Connecticut or Massachusetts or something. And I would like to see when a person presents their license from another town that they basically get a paper license to do the job with an insurance certificate. And I think that's fair. I mean, if you can put yourself in my shoes as a contractor where you have to pay to work. If I have to work in the town of Poughkeepsie, I got to get a license in the town of Poughkeepsie. Wappingers, a license in Wappingers, one in Fishkill, one in Hopewell, one in East Fishkill, Beacon, and keep on going. It's out of control. We have to streamline it. We're not here to twist people up. And at the same time, all it is a piece of paper that the owner of the business has, but all of his workers have their own license or their union people that are trained. So it's just a piece of paper for this man to put it, legally. So with these proper insurance certificates, I think that it should be just given to the applicant a permit to do the job. And, I just don't like it when you're chasing all over the place. I think I mentioned the last time, you get a Westchester license to work in Westchester. But if you go into White Plains, you got to get another license. And you go into this city, you got to get another license. And before you realize it, you've got all these licenses, and you pull up, and where's your briefcase? I left it in the truck. Well, you're getting a summons. Let's stop it. Let's cut it short, and let's be sensible. People want to work, and people are not out to do wrong things. So let's streamline it and make our building department, builder friendly, and allow people to do the proper thing in the town and to want to come here, not hate to come to the town of Poughkeepsie.
Okay, thanks, Vic.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Doreen? Come on up.
I am not in favor of this. I think that the laws are originally put into place to protect town residents. And even though the claim was made last time that this is a very narrow change in the law, it's still a change in the law to address a specific person or entity. And in this case, it was because someone, there were a number of things that they did wrong that they shouldn't have done. And I really don't think I should be rewarding bad behavior. And the fact that, it is taxpayer money, well, I'd like to see my taxpayer money spent wisely. And as far as it costing more because of this, there's always a contingency built into to these budgets. And if the contractor who went ahead and did work before he was supposed to, or whether it was the engineer or the plumber, I think they need to be held accountable, and the law should not be changed for them. And as far as to give anybody a license in the town, if the town's laws are stricter, require more experience, I don't think that we should necessarily be changing it. And I also think that, as far as any of the work that's been done that needs to be inspected, well, it should be dug up and inspected because it is taxpayer money. And if you don't do it now, what's going to happen, a couple of years down the road if there's a problem? It seems to me it would cost more then. So I'm in favor of leaving it in the hands of the plumbing board. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Mr. Armstrong?
Last meeting we had, Mr. Carlos, I thought his suggestion of how to handle this was rather appropriate. I can remember when I had a small project done, a building inspector come around 4 times to look at mine to make sure it was being done right. Mm-hmm. And I was glad he did, because I knew the job was being done the way it should be for my protection. And I think the same thing can be done here. We got rules to follow, because this guy may come in and not want to take, he even said that he didn't want to take the test, and push our people out who have to buy all these licenses to work in our own area, and let them come in and not get it and follow our same rules. I think something's wrong here too. I get the impression that somebody said, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. Maybe wrong thinking, but that's what kind of hit my mind the first time it was said.
Thinking,
stranger things have happened. So I think we should look at this a little more serious and follow our rules until you change the rules to incorporate everybody under the same standards.
Anybody else? Okay, Jim, you almost missed it.
Hi, Jim Beretta, 29 Colburn Drive. I feel that this kind of decision should be left with the plumbing board. I mean, the plumbing board is put in place for a reason. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't done haphazard, and the town has got these regulations for a reason. My perspective on what happened here is that the library didn't follow the correct procedures. They're leaving the town sort of holding the bag on this. I think what the town is trying to do is you're trying to thread the needle to come up with a solution to allow them to continue. It's nice weather. I mean, I'm sure they want to work during the nice weather. But in doing that, you're making a change that's going to affect other projects and other entities, and you're setting a precedent. And what's the board going to say when it's a non-municipal project and somebody else comes in and says that doesn't have the licenses, hasn't followed the process, and they go, we're a XYZ project, and you did this for the library, and so you changed the law. You could change the law for us. Okay, you're going to have to answer to that question. The other thing that's a little burr under my saddle too is that this isn't just the only situation that we have with the library. They also started the whole project without having a pre-construction meeting, and that thing went on for weeks, maybe months there before this, anybody shined the light on it to see what was going on. So there was to me, there was a general attitude of, I don't know if it's lack of knowledge or arrogance, but I mean, it looks to me like people thought they just could do what they wanted to do, and that's not how things work, and they shouldn't work that way. I mean, the reason why you have the regulations is to protect the people in the town
so that they're getting quality work, and so that you don't have it falling back on you. And every time there's problems, that generates expenses, and expenses cause taxes to go up. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? Seeing no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Be enacted the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to public hearings held on the 21st day of May 2014 and the 4th day of June 2014, 7 p.m. Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend the Town of Poughkeepsie Plumbing Code, Chapter 154, Article 4, Chapter 154-26, issuance, denial, revocation of plumber's license, certificate of insurance, reciprocity, special permits, specifically Section 154-26D entitled Special Permits, which amendment is as follows, with the words underlined to be added and those words stricken to be deleted, Chapter 154-26. D, Special Permits. The Town of Poughkeepsie Plumbing Board may, in its discretion, issue a permit to an individual or corporation who is not licensed by the Town of Poughkeepsie Plumbing Board for a specific project twice a year at a cost equal to the licensing and testing fee per permit, provided the applicant is licensed by another municipality that has a comparable test or licensing requirements, and said municipality offers a similar reciprocal program for licenses of the Town of Poughkeepsie. It is within the sole and absolute discretion of the Town of Poughkeepsie Plumbing Board to ensure that the criteria of the licensing community or municipality is the same as the Town of Poughkeepsie. 2, notwithstanding anything in this chapter to the contrary, the building inspector may in his or her discretion issue a permit to an individual, partnership, or corporation who is not licensed by the Town of Poughkeepsie Plumbing Board for a specific project, for a public corporation, or for a district or corporation created by the state legislature once a year at a cost equal to the licensing and testing fees, provided that the applicant is licensed by another municipality in the state of New York, and the applicant meets the experience requirements for a plumbing license in the Town of Poughkeepsie. An appeal from the denial of a special permit under this subsection may be taken to the town board within 45 days of the mailing of an adverse decision by the building inspector. Be it further enacted, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie determine this action is a Type 2 action and further determine that no environmental action is required. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on May 15, 2014 and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 16, 2014. And be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
For motion and a second, any discussion?
Yeah, the plumbing board met yesterday, and they also wanted to just bring up the fact that they are the experts in judging whether the applicant is qualified and to review its experience, and that they are available if the building inspector wants to talk to them and help them review this. And also, they'd like to make a suggestion is that instead of once a year, it be a one-time, that the plumber gets a once period opportunity to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think we've discussed this ad nauseum.
Yes, I believe so too. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. All right, I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 3, rezoning of 10 to 14 Tucker Drive.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Seeing no one, I make a motion to close public hearing number 3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bill?
Be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 4th day of June 2014 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend the Town Code, Chapter 210, Article 3, specifically Section 210-11, which amendment hereby changed the zoning designation of town property located at 10 to 14 Tucker Drive, tax parcel number 6262-03-162080, from Neighborhood Business BN District to Heavy Industrial IH District, and be it further enacted, the proposed amendments are attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if they had been in fact read verbatim, and be it further enacted that the Town Board has previously declared its intent to act as a lead agency and the action to amend the zoning map is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and be it further enacted that the town board has reviewed the short form environmental assessment form, the EAF, prepared by the Director of Municipal Development, and hereby determines that, 1, the adoption of the herein zoning amendment would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and 2, a draft environmental impact statement will not be required for the reasons set forth in Part 2 of the EAF, and 3, a negative declaration is hereby issued, and be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated May 15, 2014 was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, and said recommendation stated that the adoption of the herein zoning amendment is a matter of local concern, and be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated May 20th, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board, in which said board recommended adoption of the herein zoning amendment, and be it further enacted that the town clerk notify the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to General Municipal Law 239-NN, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on May 13, 2014, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 16, 2014, and be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 4, home occupations.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? We discussed this at length over a number of meetings, and since our last meeting, there haven't been significant changes to the code, but we tried to, I think, take everybody's thoughts and put them in the resolution. So is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this public hearing? Doreen?
Under general criteria, it now says more than one home occupation per residential use is permitted. So to me, that means you could have as many as you want. There would be no limit. Now, there's also a part under specific criteria that says services and instructions offered are limited to no more than 2 clients or customers at a time. So is that 2 clients or customers for every business, every occupation in there, or is that per business? So if you had 20 businesses, could you then have 40 people?
Yeah, I don't think you could have 20 businesses, because in the same line in number 2, it also says a home occupation shall be clearly accessory to the principal residential use. So the residential use needs to be the principal use of the structure. I think if you had, say, a husband and a wife that each had a home occupation, they could both have a home occupation in their home. The parking and the other criteria is still in effect. So in other words, if they want to start, expanding beyond, just themselves and hire an employee, they have to have the requisite parking, have to be able to have that on their property. And if it won't, fit on the piece of property they have, I mean, that's some of the discussion we've had here. Some of the parcels which you understand along
Well,
Spag
let's say
Hill.
if there were just 4 people in the house, husband, wife, and 2
Yeah.
people in their 20s or children or something. So again, if each had a business, that's 4. So my real question is, okay, maybe 20 was an extreme example. Let's say you had 4. So is it limited to 2 clients per business, or is
Yes.
it limited?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I think the likelihood of, you think about the number of home occupations in the town of Poughkeepsie, I don't think, in my opinion, it's significant. So I think the idea that there's going to be one home popping up all over town with 4 different businesses in it, could it happen? No, I think it could. Is it a likely scenario that we're going to encounter throughout the town? I would doubt it.
And at one point, and this is something I discussed with you today, I was concerned that
Yes.
over the several iterations, there was something about if you were using a vehicle used in commerce, it had
Yes.
to be in an enclosed garage, and that's not there now, but you assured me that's just part of the code in general.
The zoning code still restricts commercial vehicles in residential neighborhoods, so that you still have to have a permit to have a commercial vehicle in a residential neighborhood. That's not changing.
Okay, because as it is now, like I said, there are several of those, I don't
Yeah,
know if they're home business, but there are several in our neighborhood at this time. So, okay, I am against this, though. I still think that it should be coming before the ZBA so that, neighbors are notified and that they have a chance to come to the meeting in case they have any concerns. So I am against this. Thank you.
Anybody else? Jim?
Jim Beretta, 29 Colburn Drive. Yeah, I'd like to see it stay the way it is, too. I was here the last time, talked about this, and the way that I mean, one of the driving reasons that I heard for making this change was so that a neighbor can't use this as a reason to go after a neighbor that they might not like. And to me, that seemed like yeah, that might happen, but I think if you have that kind of a relationship, you'll find something else. I mean, if you take this away, they'll find something else. That didn't seem like a really good reason to go down this path. And I am concerned about, character of neighborhoods. I mean, we, buy houses in residential areas, not in, business areas or industrial areas. Some residences are in business areas, but they know that. Personally, I mean, I certainly don't want to see my neighborhood with, a lot more, traffic getting generated because people are starting home businesses and stuff like that. And the innocuous ones where somebody's just working from home or maybe they're doing it there today, I mean, if it's so quiet that it's just themselves and they're not generating any traffic, it's not a problem to be solved. So I'm not quite sure what the problem is to be solved here, and I think you're opening this thing up to, potentially a worse situation. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? Seeing no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mike?
Be enacted Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to a public hearing held on the 4th day of June 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Overrocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend Chapter 210 entitled Zoning, specifically amendment to Section 21074 Home Occupations, and be it further enacted that the amendment is attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if they in fact had been read verbatim. And be it further enacted that the Town Board has previously declared its intent to act as lead agency under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and does declare said action to be an unlisted action. Be it further enacted, the Town Board has reviewed the short-form environmental assessment form prepared by the Director of Municipal Development and hereby determines that the adoption of the herein zoning amendment would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and a draft environmental impact statement will not be required for the reasons set forth in the attached determination of no significance, and a negative declaration is hereby issued. And be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated May 15, 2014, was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development, stating that the proposed amendment was a matter of local concern. And be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated May 20th, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board, in which said board recommended adoption of the herein amendments. And be it further enacted that the town clerk notified the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on May 13th, 2014 and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 16th, 2014. And be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I tend to think, the zoning board has a purpose, and I actually like the fact that if somebody wanted to come for a permit, they have to go through that, and the neighbors have a right to have a say in what they have in their neighborhood, what could come in and affect them, so I'm not in favor of this.
I mean, one of the reasons I am in favor of it is with the economy like it is and people struggling to keep their homes as they are. I mean, our building inspector at the department head meeting this week stated that he feels empty homes in the town aren't reducing, aren't shrinking, but are certainly steady, if not rising. So with people struggling to keep their homes, I don't want to take the business that the man or the woman that may be the architect or the engineer that's in his home running a business that doesn't inconvenience the neighbors and make them pay permits, make them pay fees to the town. I want to let him go about his business Once he hires employees, once he starts seeing, multiple staff at his home, multiple trips through the park or through the area, I agree with Jim. That's when they need to come before the zoning board, let the neighbors weigh in, because that may materially affect the neighborhood. But otherwise, I see this as keeping the people that, in my opinion, really don't belong before the zoning board away from the zoning board. They don't have to come in. We don't have to impact their lives.
I agree with the supervisor, and I just want to point out that there was, I think, somewhere in the discussion, there was a point made that, changing it, or leaving it the way it was, or requiring everybody to go through the ZBA could allow neighbors to go after neighbors for little things. That wasn't the rationale for creating this or making that change. I'm not even sure what initially sparked the review of this, but that was not the rationale for making the change, and that's not the purpose. When this came in front of the board, I looked at it. To me, the ability to have a home business when it's got almost no impact at all in the neighborhood is what that first section allows. So most people wouldn't even realize that you're there conducting a business because it's so minimal as far as what the realistic impact would be. The second section, I think, is effectively the same, is pretty similar to what we currently have, which runs you through the ZBA, which makes complete sense, just like the supervisor said. I do try to go by the point where you try to leave people alone when they're not doing anything wrong and they're really not impacting anybody else around them. So to me, this makes sense. It's fair, it's reasonable. It doesn't put anybody in a position where all of a sudden they're going to have a major business next door to them. I don't think it has any impact on the character of the neighborhood the way it's written, changing the character of a neighborhood the way it's written, because that first category does not allow you to really do too much. The second category makes you go to the ZBA and deal with all the issues at that point. If for some reason we see this thing explode where there's a whole bunch of home-based businesses that all of a sudden are coming through that category, I guess we could tweak it or change it. I don't think we're going to see that happen. I think most of the time those people don't even show up at the town because they don't realize that they need any sort of approvals for that type of business because it's a very low impact. Well, I'm in favor of this.
And Stefan, along the way, what both of you said, I've got a couple phone calls over the last couple weeks over this. People have actually gone the wrong role. They've rented offices and rented spaces, and his business has downturned. A lot of them were doing mortgages. Now they're stuck. They can't afford the rent. They can't afford the daycare. They've rolled their business back to their house to stay afloat. So I think it works in both ways. Not always just a startup. There's somebody who's trying to save their business and cut the corners around, and I think it probably beneficial to a few people. But, you have to watch it. The market turns. You watch, and then someone will have to come in.
I have a home-based business. I think I was 97 or 98 when I registered it. The insurance company for the liability insurance for the business said, you have to go to the town and get a permit. So I went through the process. I had to appear before the zoning board, send letters to everything. If I average 3 people at the house in a year, it's a lot. But the impetus to do it was the insurance company telling me that for my policy to be valid, I'd have to appear before the local governing authority and have a permit on file. Then I followed up by asking State Farm with respect to the business in the house and my homeowner's fire insurance. And I had to pay the amendment on that. And again, it comes back to the fact that I got a permit from the town. So I believe strongly in that. I do think that there's a difference when it's just one man, when you know what I mean? Where we can give somebody the opportunity and then just change it or have them come before the board if it's necessary. If they're doing it the right way in the first place, they're going to get the same questions that I got. So I'll support the motion because I think it's common sense and it tries to not interfere the least with people unless there's going to be a situation.
I agree. Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 5-1. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 5, BA Business Shopping Center District signs. This is an amendment to our sign code we talked about a few weeks ago relating to Poughkeepsie Plaza on Route 9. Is there anybody, did I make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment? Make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on number 5?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Seeing no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Stefan?
Be it enacted, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 4th day of June 2014 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend the Town Code, Section 210, specifically 210-128, entitled Signs Permitted in BSC District, and be it further enacted, the proposed amendments are attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if they, in fact, had been read verbatim. And be it further enacted, the Town Board has previously declared its intent to act as lead agency in the action to amend the zoning map is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. And be it further enacted, the Town Board has reviewed the short form environmental assessment form prepared by the Director of Municipal Development and hereby determines that, 1, the adoption of the herein zoning amendment would not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and 2, a draft environmental impact statement will not be required for the reasons set forth in Part 2 of the EAF, and 3, a negative declaration is hereby issued. And be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated May 15, 2014 was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, and that said recommendation stated that the adoption of the herein zoning amendment is a matter of local concern. And be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated May 20th, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board in which said board recommended adoption of the herein zoning amendment. And be it further enacted that the town clerk notify the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239-NN. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on May 13th, 2014 and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 16th, 2014. And be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our public hearings.
Well, actually, if you look at Resolution 6, it says the public hearing is being held today, and it was published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 25th, so maybe that's also should be a public hearing.
Is that just a misprint on the agenda, Jim?
Yeah.
Well, it does, resolution number 6 does refer to public hearing being held on the
I don't think-
4th. I quite honestly don't recall whether we opened that hearing before.
I'm not sure we did.
I
I didn't think so, but
I thought
could
we
be
said
wrong.
it at our last meeting.
I thought we said it as well.
2 weeks ago.
Thought we did set it, yes.
I'm looking at it. Does hereby set the 4th of June
Right.
for the public hearing, and that was resolution 5 at the May 21st meeting. So this should be the public
Can
hearing.
we still hold the public hearing then?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ann, good catch. I want to make a motion to suspend the rules, public hearing number 6. This is a weight limit on Roachdale Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Seeing no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ann?
Be enacted, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 4th day of June 2014 at 7 p.m. at Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the date, time, and place of a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Town Code, Chapter 195, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, specifically 195-46, Schedule 11, entitled Trucks Over Certain Weights Excluded, which amendment would read as follows. Add, name of street, Roachdale Road, weight limit tons 5, location, entire length. Be further enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has determined that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be further enacted that the legal notice of the public hearing was posted on May 22nd, 2014, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 25th, 2014, and be further enacted that the local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That, I think, brings us to the end of our public hearing. So we've got a few agenda items left. I will read off the agenda items for those who don't have an agenda in front of them, and then we'll take comments on agenda items. Agenda item number 7 is consent for Planning Board to act as lead agency for Beck Place. 8 is to authorize the transfer of surplus vehicles to Ulster County. 9 is to authorize the supervisor to sign Fulmer Wash agreement for our police vehicles. 10 is to authorize highway supervisor to go out to bid for truck bodies. And then we have a couple special consents. Special consent number 1 is authorize supervisor to sign Mountain View Estate subdivision documents. And 2 is a bid award, universal accessibility improvements for Red Oaks Mills Park. This is through our community block grant program, and we're a little bit under the gun on this one. That's why it's on special consent to spend the money, use this grant money by August. It's for improvements to our Red Oaks Mills Park that will better allow handicapped individuals to use the park. So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules of public comment.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody like to comment on an agenda item? Victor?
The transfers of vehicles, what are we talking about? It's vehicles.
We're selling some old
2 cars to
cars
County.
to Ulster County Community College, which we've done in the past. These are cars that, we feel have reached their useful life for our purposes. One has 105,000 miles. It's a 2010 Crown Victoria. The other one's a 2011 with 87,750 miles. For the both of them, we're going to get $9,000.
Okay, because it didn't say any money, it just said transferring them.
Yes,
So
yes.
as long as we're getting money, I don't want to
Yes.
be giving them away
No.
off to
We don't
somebody.
give anything away, Vic.
I was about to say.
This is our taxpayers' money, And, you talk about 100,000 miles. Hey, I'm driving a truck out there that's perfectly in great condition with 160,000 miles on it. So getting rid of a vehicle with 80,000 miles on it or 100,000 miles on it, it's fine with me. Run it till the wheels fall off. These new cars cost so much money. Keep it as a spare. But $9,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But,
These
as
are
long as
old,
we're getting money for them.
yes.
But we
Police
gotta,
vehicles that, get their share of use. Those are rough miles that, but we are getting $9,000, yes.
okay. That's all I was, could be used some
Yep,
other place.
no problem. Thanks,
Thank
Vic. Anybody else? See no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby consent to the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board acting as secret lead agency for the project known as Marist College Park Improvements, Beck Place, 3399 North Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, grid number 6162-05-005805 and 007795 and 002778 6162-02-999762. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie, having received a communication from the Oil Center Manager, Bill Galbraith, does declare 2 Ford Crown Victoria police vehicles to be surplus. Does hereby approve the sale of these vehicles to the Ulster County Community College as follows. 1, 2010 Ford Crown Victoria, VIN number 2FABP7BVXAXI 33380, mileage 105,153 miles, for a price of $4,000. And 2, a 2011 Crown Victoria, VIN number 2FABP7BV4BX171883, mileage $87,750, for a price of $5,000. Be it further resolved, the town board has authorized the sale of said vehicles for a total sum of $9,000. Be it further resolved that this type of action in the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and does not require an environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Do these get used at the academy too?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Vic, on top of that, it's sort of a deal with our police department. They use them in the police academy over there. So not really going out, so they use them over there.
Okay, good. They're like new cars to me.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Well, Vic, if you wanted to up the price, we'd have to,
I didn't know there was a bid.
Chiefs, give me a look. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a vehicle cleaning agreement with Barright Enterprises, DBA Foam and Wash Car Wash for the entire Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department fleet as required by the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department for the period of January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015. A copy of Chief Morrow's memo along with the proposal is attached. And be it further resolved that Barright Enterprises, DBA Foam and Wash Car Wash, has proposed to continue to provide the services with no increase since 2012 at the rate of $650 per month. And the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie finds that the solicitation of alternative proposals for these services would not be in the best interests of the town. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the Superintendent of Highways to advertise for bids for 6 new truck bodies with assorted snow control equipment pursuant to the attached memo of Highway Superintendent Mark Pfeiffer, which equipment shall include Stellar hoists and Sirius dual speed control systems, the purchase of which will be funded in part by Dutchess County shared grants, serves grant to the town in the amount of $357,000. To be it further resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby reserved the right to accept or reject all bids in whole or part, and determines this equipment purchase of a Type 2 action which is exempt from secret review. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? This is part of the shared services grant that we applied for with the county last year. We went in with the town of Hyde Park. So this is part of that process to get these truck bodies with the salters, and these are the automated salters. So we think it's going to be a good deal for the town, good situation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Did the county renew that program?
$1 million instead of 2.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit: 1, authorize supervisor to sign Mountain View Estate subdivision documents. 2, bid award universal accessibility improvements, Red Oaks Mill Park. Be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the Town Board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby set the amount of bonding security for Mountain View Estates subdivision at $74,700 per the annexed recommendation of the town engineer, and does further authorize the supervisor to execute a standard form town bounding security agreement for road drainage, water, and other improvements for the Mountain View Estates subdivision, together with the standard form town stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance agreement, and any supporting and recording documents in regarding to the foregoing, which the document shall be subject to the approval of the town attorney and the town director of municipal development, and be it further that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie finds that the execution of these documents is part of the ongoing administration of town matters and is a Type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby award the bid for the universal accessibility improvements to the Red Oaks Mill Park to Clove Excavators, subject to the reduction or deletion pursuant to paragraph 10 of the information to bidders of the amount of the unit, quantities for milling, bituminous paving, I don't know what that is, but playground bedding, picnic tables.
Blacktop.
Oh, that's what I always called it. Picnic tables and seating and mulching as determined by the town engineer and recreation director, such that the base price not exceed $96,400, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute a contract with Clove Excavators for not more than $96,400 upon receipt of the required insurance certificate, security bond, and other documents specified in the bid package. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. I'd like to make a motion to open for public comment on any town issue.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here who'd like to address the board? Victor?
On occasions, it doesn't happen that often, but down at the Sheaf Road Park, the ballpark, once in a while the lights are on. And there used to be a sign there, had the number, and I could go and dial the number if the lights were on, and call up Tom, and he would phone in and turn the lights off.
Yeah.
Call me when they're on, I'll turn them off.
Okay, but you see, if you're there's the phone number on the sign. The sign got ripped down, so I could sit there with the cell phone and and I got him. Other times I got to go see Jay, and then he says, "All right, I'll call in."
That's fine.
You know,
Vic, we'll get another sign put up,
Yeah, I mean, it was vandalized or whatever, and so hey, you go
Should be
by
on a
and-
timer, but sometimes it might be a quirk in the.
No, if you have a rain day, a lot of times it's on with the rain. The other night, they actually called because they messed up the schedule and the lights weren't coming on, so we had to call and have them turn
They
on.
shouldn't stay
Yeah.
on, you're saying they stay on late.
They stay until 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
right.
I'm sure that meter's going with all them lights up there.
Yeah, we'll look into
Costing a
that.
pretty good penny, so,
Okay.
the sign was good because Tom can say, I mean, I must have
Yeah,
dialed probably 10 times if the sign works.
Yeah.
If I'm coming home or something,
Good.
the lights are on, I dial it,
Yeah, no, it's great. We'll make sure we get a new sign. It's good.
Vic, leave me your cell phone number and we'll put it on the sign and I'll tell you who to call. We'll have it all under control.
Okay. Just coming past this half hour, 40 minutes ago, the old town hall down here. Let's clean up the front of the building. It's, tear it down, yeah. I mean, all the sumac trees and the vines are growing up the front of it. It really looks, unpresentable for the town. Try to keep it neat and clean. Like Jay knows, we had the school system there, the Chief Road School, the grass was up to your knees. We all had to call and fight with them to mow the grass. The building looks like heck out in the front there.
Yeah.
Let's clean it
Okay.
up or cover it up or tear it down or whatever.
All right, Ed.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Matt, how you doing? Good.
Good evening, everybody. The Village of Wappingers Falls is interested in partnering with the town of Poughkeepsie on a consolidated funding application for energy efficiency items. We would like to do a two-part request through the NYSERDA Cleaner Greener Communities program that's being offered for a June 16th deadline. The first one is the plan that they like to ask us to do in New York State, but I think that this one would be a good plan. We'd like to ask you to participate in the $250,000 plan, which would be a tri-municipal sustainability and resiliency plan, which we would ask also the town of Wappinger to participate in. And the purpose of that plan would be to plan for and complete some preliminary engineering for projects which, one, harden infrastructure to ensure that it can withstand future storm events, so that would be water mains, sewer lines, pavement, and drainage structures. Two, address urban and suburban runoff and subsequent flooding, contamination of waterways, and most notably the watershed that we share in common, which is the Wappinger watershed. Three, it would identify watershed retrofit projects which address sedimentation and phosphorus loading, specifically as it occurs in the Wappinger Creek and in the Wappinger Lake. And four, a site identification and preliminary engineering for microgrid projects to put up more sources of renewable energy. The reason that we would like to do this is because we think that between the three municipalities, we have the opportunity to identify sites that could put up some very large solar generation facilities, solar power generation facilities that could help us all as municipalities keep our electric costs down. If we're successful in laying out a plan, the idea is that next year, in the next round for the consolidated funding application, the three communities would be able to go back to the till and ask for the Cleaner Greeners program to provide 75% of the cost of constructing renewable energy sources in each one of the towns and maybe in not-for-profit institutions that might be identified in the plan itself. So that's the first request. The second request is a proposal in the Category 3 program, which would be to implement what would be the Phase 1 of this project. And it would be to identify areas where we could gain efficiencies. And one of those is one that your supervisor and your town board member, Jay Baisley, and I have already worked on together with the Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission, which was the aeration system that we were awarded $200,000 for the Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission. So that's an efficiency project. We'd like to keep building on that and ask that the town of Poughkeepsie received $505,000 toward LED street lighting or any sort of efficiency that you could get with LED. It doesn't have to be external, it could be internal. The town of Wappinger would receive $380,000 in LED lighting, and the reason for the difference is because they would not need to purchase pole space as the town of Poughkeepsie would from Central Hudson. The village of Wappingers Falls would ask for $505,000 in LED street lighting, and Mount Albernia and the town of Poughkeepsie would ask for $240,000 in LED street lighting. And the idea here is that we create efficiencies within the system before we create a microgrid with a solar power generation system behind it. So we would first put the efficiencies into place, and then we would go behind it next year after we did the plan, and then ask them to power those more efficient uses of electricity throughout the 3 municipalities with renewable power sources.
The town of Wappinger, they own all their poles?
The one where they're most interested in doing this would be LED lighting for their recreational ball fields. So they have
see.
Robinson, I think
Yeah.
Robinson
Okay.
is where they
Yeah,
use
makes
most
sense.
of their electricity.
Yeah, just for everyone's, some of you are aware, next week at the Committee of the Whole, I've spoken to Matt, we're going to have a company come in and talk to us about LED street lighting, Wendell Corp., and I've invited Matt if he'd like to come along to hear their pitch, but, I think this is a great idea, and
Well, I think, as we all try to prepare our municipal budgets in the future, one item where we may have a lot more control than others would be the utility portion. And if we can get some efficiencies and get some money toward renewable energy sources, we might be able to control that one portion of our budget. Also, they like collaboration. The 3 municipalities that I've just named make up 25% of Dutchess County's population. It would be a very powerful grant application to put in. We've played up on the fact that through the Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission, we've got a 40-year-long history of sharing services together, and that this would just be building on that and moving that idea forward. So for that Cleaner Greener program, for those 2 categories, I'd like to ask that there be a letter of support in favor of this submittal. We would put together the grant application entirely, name you as a beneficiary of the grant. Just please note that it would only be for 75% of the cost of the plan and 75% of the cost of the LED lighting, and in your case, 75% of the purchase of the poles and the space in the pole from Central Hudson.
Do we need a resolution, or can you do it by?
no, we just need just as long as everybody's in agreement, we
Send to the board?
can write a letter of support for it's a grant application, that we'd be applying for.
So, yes, if you could give us that, the date is June 16th for that application. We are also an LWRP community like the town of Poughkeepsie. We're interested in working especially on water issues that have to do with water quality, sedimentation as it exists in the lake that we all share. So we have a second proposal that we're asking for, and this would mainly be as a letter of support for the first 2 items. We're asking that you consider supporting our application for a project that's in the town of Poughkeepsie side of the village of Wappingers Falls, and that's been one that we've been working on for many years, but it's Franny Reese Park on West Main Street, which would provide waterfront access to the newly designated inland waterway, which is the Wappinger Creek and Wappinger Lake in this application. So we're looking for a $500,000 project there. We would be making the match completely from within the general fund of the village of Wappingers Falls. And we're also asking that the last one is actually a town of Wappinger request. And so the third one that we have that we'd like you to consider joining in on us with is a backup plan in case we don't get the Cleaner Greeners plan, which was 75% for the study of retrofit projects for the watershed. This would be a 50-50 grant application. And I would ask that you just give us a letter of support while we figure out if we're going to be able to match this one. But it's a $90,000 study, phase one of the watershed that would be shared by 3 municipalities.
So our match isn't very significant. If we were to get it and had to match it,
you would be at $15,000 for each community total. And what it really would do, it would put together a grocery list of projects that all 3 communities might want to pursue in the future that would have to do with, it could have to do with your ball fields along Wappinger Creek. It could have to do with any park space you have up on the Greenvale Park where you want to do some sort of stream bank erosion project, any flooding projects that you have upstream along the Wappinger Creek, we would be able to look at, then go back to that LWRP plan in the future and do it. So those are the 2. I'm going to cross out the town of Wappinger one that is also on here. But if you could consider writing a letter of support for these 4 different grant requests that we would be submitting, we would like to get your support and like to work with you.
You're asking for 2 letters then?
2 letters of support for 2 different programs with 2 requests each. So I have it broken down on a piece of paper for you, so
He'll need that.
okay, yes. we might even, I could supply you with a letter that you could alter any word, that you could alter any way you want.
Yeah, perfect. And, I think what's significant is as Matt stated and Jay's aware, the village of Wappinger, the town of Poughkeepsie, and the town of Wappingers, we've been collaborating for many years. And last year we were successful in getting one of the shared services grants through the county. Hopefully we will again this year. They've given us positive, feedback as far as last year. So when you talk about shared services and municipal cooperation, Matt, Barbara, myself, these 3 municipalities have been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate Matt coming, and this idea of collaborating further is I think what everybody wants to see, and I'm all in favor of it.
Great, good.
Just so we could track it in the record, I think it probably would be a good idea to have an oral motion to authorize the.
Make a motion to give the Village of Wappingers 2 letters of support for the 2 projects outlined in this conversation.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Although we have a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Great.
Matt?
Thank you.
What about the money?
Anybody else? Mary Ann?
Mary Ann Axman. I just have a quick question. We knew when we put the roundabouts in the Arlington Town Center, because there's businesses there and there was trucks that were making deliveries, that there might be some issues. Is there any kind of a code or anything about double parking?
There actually, I believe, Ann, help me out here, you're on the bid, there's a loading zone, I believe, in front of Baca and But I know lots of times when I come into town hall in the morning, they're double parked.
Yeah, they're double parked.
Noontime, it's terrible. Today, there was parallel parking, trucks parked, double parked, and then like a car length ahead, there was another truck double parked, and people had to wait. They were backed up all the way down College View and across Fairmont, and I don't know if that was allowed. It just seems it shouldn't be.
I think it's, it's a problem. It's kind of a good problem, and I think you're right. It's something we have to look at. But as these businesses as things get busier in Arlington, and we have
Right
more of these
now,
businesses, we have a couple new restaurants, one just opened, another one opening soon. It's going to be a bigger issue. So maybe it's something we have to get together with the bid, the police department, and try to address. But it's good.
Good. I just
good
wanted to
thought.
bring it to everybody's attention.
Thank you. Vic, did you have something else you wanted to add? Come on up.
Get it out of your system.
Talking about the LED lights, a friend of mine is manufacturing these LED lights right in Clinton Corners now that is retrofitting for the lights at Vassar College and for Marist. It's like a 15-watt light bulb use, but it's putting out like about 140-watt illumination. Unbelievable. He's got some great little operation. So a local guy, hopefully, some of this stuff might come local, turn around, because he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing, product, and I agree with you, and hopefully it's something we can pursue, because I think it would make a big dent in our electric usage, which
Yeah, it just he
we pay a
makes
lot.
it fit right into the other bulb application, and it's amazing. It just blinds you. It's super bright. Well, they have these little shields on it to prevent it, so it illuminates down. But it's amazing. So a local man doing this right here.
Great,
in our
great.
county.
Thanks, Vic. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have something. Tomorrow night at the Senior Center, there's going to be an energy forum from 6:30 to 8 p.m. It's put on by Dee Dee Barrett, and Central Hudson's going to be there to answer your questions about why your electric bill's so high.
Boy, your electric bill's high. That ought to be good.
Yeah.
You don't want your blood pressure.
Hopefully everyone there will have an answer to that question.
Yeah.
Anybody else? See, no one to make motions on the rules? All those in favor?
Aye.
Jay?
Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby adjourned to executive session considering the following matters to wit. 1, labor contract negotiations. 2, confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the town board based on attorney-client privilege. And be it further resolved, there will be no action appropriating money, so moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The
Town,
students, come on up, we'll sign the sheets.
Town Board adjourns to executive session at 8 PM.